Welcome everyone to the 211th.
No,
Yeah,
we're not going to stop this. It happened last week, the week before. We're
it's
just
okay.
like losing our minds.
We'll hit 300 and then we'll start saying 200. It'll be fine.
Okay,
It'll be good.
we'll get back on track eventually.
The
Yeah.
100, no, the 200, no, the 312.
How many days till or how many streams till 300?
A
We're
lot. I think we're jumping the gun a bit.
like
Oh, no.
90 or 89 streams. That's a little bit over a year, so we're doing fine.
Lordy.
Yes. How can I help you?
One day.
Get off, get out. Do the art, make the ponies.
All right. So let's do this. Thank you all for joining us today. You can hear we have the lover of the catnip, Alley Claw,
Hello, nip nip cat.
and
Cat
then
things.
the blue trash panda.
Hi.
You think he just got into the Blue Man Group's trash?
I don't know. Apparently he can't say. It's the oath of the Blue Man Group.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. And then there's Pixie Nop.
Hello.
One day I'll come up with a better intro than, hey, it's the last person on my list.
Well, of course, there's also you, the living dead.
What? I'm underground. At least 6 feet.
Oh. Well, I mean, you're doing better than the rest of the world, so there's that.
Not than all.
So, being a zombie, are you immune to this?
Sort of. I'll still get it, but it doesn't affect me. So it's
And then,
sorry.
yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
It's sort of like getting food coloring on yourself. Cool, your hands are now green, but really it doesn't mess up your daily life.
It must be inconvenient all the toilet paper being gone, because, like, how else are you supposed to wrap yourself, you know?
Those are
Those
mummies.
mummies.
That's
I know that they're basically Egyptian zombies.
You're all the same.
it's like our great aunts.
That's...
Your
Yes.
great aunt is the very racist aunt you have, and you're like, okay, great aunt, that's awesome. I'm just gonna leave now. Same deal.
Oh, no.
So speaking of racism, let's start off our stream.
What a segue.
This segue brought to you by Amazon. Amazon, buy all our playsets and toys.
No, I don't want any sentence to begin with. So speaking of races,
Oh, God.
All right.
How about this one,
How about
teacher?
this lovely yellow horse hugging a bunny? This is by
Adorable.
inexperienced __ 128. You might know them from last stream and the stream before that, and likely the stream before that. Their post title is Hair, and that is all. Hello, beautiful people. I did a thing. I think that's us. I hope that's us. Are we the beautiful people?
Uh.
The beautiful people. Beautiful people. Yeah, yeah.
I ran out of gasps. I can't gasp.
This is the person that we posted the watercolor picture without the hair.
It
Last stream,
is.
and we critiqued it.
Proceed.
So I took your advice from my last critique on hair. So where
You
can
gave
I
us
go
some.
from here? So now my wings are suck. How can I make the shape right next time? If you think your wings are
Well.
suck, I mean you're not. You're wrong. They look pretty good.
It sounds like an infomercial thing. Like, hey, do you hate when your wings are sucked?
Didn't you know I sell art and art accessories?
Oh, God. I mean, in all seriousness, if you feel like your wings suck, this isn't the best picture to judge that on, since your wings really aren't even present. I know you have a silhouette back there and, like, little poking through, but that's not... That's like... I would
Yeah.
say wings are not even needed for this picture with how you have it so cropped.
It could,
Wanna
yeah, it could be
focus on
something like
wings?
that.
Have it, like, wings actually be part of the picture in the picture, not just the force. I think that's what makes wings bad sometimes, is when they try to force them into view. Because sometimes you won't see them, and that's why it looks right, because you're forcing them to do weird things
It's
they
like
wouldn't do.
sometimes you might not see that other ear.
No, that's a lie. Zombie.
If your main is Ali's OC proportions,
Pretty much. But yeah, so if you want to get better at wings, draw wings and draw them in places that
I would.
We
So-
got
No.
We got some baller tutorials on our exterior guides and tutorials. Check them out. Probably my favorite wing tutorials I've ever come across. They're just breakdown wings, wing styles, different types of birds with their different wing styles. Because, hey, did you know there's different wing styles? It's freaking weird. And it's not even like the difference between a bat and a bird. It's like there's different
All the
plumage
different bird types,
and
yeah.
layering on different
Different
birds.
shapes and how they evolve for different climates and environments and hunting styles and flying styles and all that kind of jazz. So like, yeah, little different shapes.
Which...
What I would
Go ahead. Sorry.
recommend is to try. I don't know if you thumbnailed this before you drew it and painted it, but try making a thumbnail and just so you can sort of practice with the week. So like, get a whole piece of paper and just draw it like really small. So like, hey, so like here's my pony, and there's the bunny, and there's the hoof coming around the bunny, and so just so you can practice like, okay, so like, what am I trying to do with the wings? Like, where are the wings going? Why are they going like that? Like, what would Fluttershy be doing in this situation with her wings? And we can help you sort of figure out like, not just having the feathers there for the sake of this is a Pegasus, and so there's going to be feathers. Like, have them thumbnailing stuff to figure out where everything is and what everything's doing can help with a lot of like purpose and function, and it can help you figure out.
Excuse me.
Bless
Help you figure out how where
I
the
thought I
drawing.
muted myself. I tried to very quickly. It didn't work.
It's alright.
It's amazing. No, yeah, just drawing it like in a smaller form, and then like, or even if you don't want a thumbnail, just getting a piece of paper and just drawing what you've got here, but the entirety of the drawings are not cropped. I'm not saying like we do the entire picture, but just doing it so you can practice the wings without being restricted to just having this area where all you can do is this spiky feathers in the bottom. Like, you want the rest of the canvas so you can work on the entire wing and figure out where that is. But really, you could also just move on and just do that with different pictures. Just try not doing stuff super zoomed in. Try doing some standing poses and flying poses and just different things with ponies, Pegasi, in different poses. Perhaps trying different wing styles deliberately. So like, you could have one where they're just like standing with the wings closed, and then have one with them like open and then like sitting, and they got their wings at different like asymmetrical poses, and then, like you got here, and then you can try different flying poses. Like, look that stuff up online. You're gonna find all kinds of amazing stuff in terms of people drawing different like pony poses, different flying poses and stuff with some really creative things. So that could give you some ideas and some direction onto how to arrange the wings.
Yeah.
Oh, this eye should be more down here, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing thumbnails is really, really important. For most of the stuff that I do on watercolor paper and just with watercolors in general, I tend to do a couple of quick sketches just to nail out the details. Like, if you look down here at this red pony, I've sort of got the wings in a kind of half worked out position that look a bit more connected.
It's super simple, and you might think like, how can a tiny little chibi like undetailed thing like that help my like how do I translate that into a big beautiful painting? Well, the idea is more it helping you to like figure out and illustrate your ideas, and then doing all these different little experimentational sketches, even if they're not very detailed, will help you to get that understanding of what you're trying to accomplish.
It's kind of like the advice we give out when doing digital art. If you're gonna crop something, draw the full image first and then crop it. It's harder to do with traditional, obviously, because once you fill the page up, like you're drawing here is pretty much the entire page. It's pre-cropped. So that's why thumbnailing is so handy, because you draw full or most of the image, so you get an idea where everything would be placed, and you can then crop it from that little thumbnail sketch, and then when you work it out a bit more, you can expand it onto that bigger size drawing, so that way you figured out everything beforehand before you got to putting it down on that large size.
Ellie, are you telling me you don't use an X-Acto knife on all your traditional pictures to crop out everything?
Yep. I usually start off with like a 7x7 foot piece of paper, and that's how I get like a 5x5. Just fill it with sketches and large drawings, and yeah, it's totally how it works.
I think someone's broke into my house. I hear people moving around in the kitchen.
They're coming to steal your potatoes.
Oh God, no!
quick, go save your potatoes.
I should probably just tell the roommate to deal with the potato. Anyway, let's move on to the next picture.
This whole section I love.
Oh yeah, I wanted to mention you did take really good advice for the hair. So really good work on that. Nice work on the shading and the coloring. Just work on making it a little smoother. You have little hard edges going on, so make curves more curvy instead of jagged and hard. Because hair wants to most likely flow unless it's like leaning against a hard surface. But it's pretty draping right now.
So the next picture, right next to this bird horse, is another bird horse.
Bird horse party.
So this bird horse is done by Bob the Bogan. I think this is the first time I've ever seen that name.
I like the name.
My fellow Australian brethren, I can only assume.
So I drew my OC. Anything I should do to improve? They have no critique, no questions. So you fire this off while I go check on my potato.
All right. So my first thing would be what you can do is to ask questions next time. Like, what parts did you have particular trouble with? Inform us so we can help you. Because the more you let us know what you want or what you struggled with, the more we can help you apply to that situation. But, otherwise, I want to point out first off, this gradient on the eye is like so good. It's so nice. It's just that it's really well done. You have a really nice seamless gradient in my eyes. For their eyes. Haha. I see you're doing undersketching which is really great. I would say keep that up. Keep up that undersketching. It's a very important part in just learning to draw and getting things right and working through it. I would say for the hair, if I could tackle one thing, I would work on the hair a bit. Right now I feel like you're doing a bit too much. And it's also not enough at the same time. Now, when I say too much, I feel like there's too much details and lines and squigglies that don't quite make sense for your hair. And when I say not enough, I feel like it's too flat to the head, like a helmet, like a rag, like laying on the pony's head instead of voluminous hair that comes out from the head. So if I look at this, and I can only assume what the hairstyle is, the hair will come out of the head. So if I draw lines, if I go with the basic idea of horses, they kind of start as a mohawk, but obviously MLP likes to have a mind of its own, and they have a lot of human hairstyles, a lot of things that probably wouldn't make sense, but that's fine. It's a cartoon, have fun, do things. Oh, and then Fluffy's already drawing over it, so I'll let them.
Yes, I was just trying to. I don't know if this is what you're going for, but it's just a experimentation. If you want to have a character with a very like sort of messy, curly mane style, you just gotta go nuts with overlapping layers of curls and swirls. It can be very, very fun to experiment with. No, I don't have my tools set up.
Yeah, don't be too shy to just make your shapes a bit bigger. So just instead of drawing from your wrist and having all your things be fairly small, having all your strokes be like fairly small and controlled and that sort of stuff, draw from more of your shoulder and have your strokes be long and flowy and do things like boom and boom and that sort of stuff. Because it'll just make your if your like defining features are bigger, it'll just make your piece feel a bit more confident and consistent.
I think what color do I have now? I think just keeping in mind the sort of construction of the head in general is important. So like we have this, so the eyes need to like be sort of matching up. So you can see now that this off eye is way too small. It needs to be more like this if it's going to match with this front eye. And then the side of the head is the skull, if you will. I don't have a good color. Is coming up like this. So you've got to think about like the hair being like on top of this. It's there is always a skull there that the hair is coming out of, where those like pink lines are only true. It's not just gonna. So we do see people sometimes with like a completely flat head because they're just thinking about like the face and the hair being like these two sort of like Lego connected objects, but it's not like how the actual ponies are gonna work. If that makes any sense. So think about them as an organism.
The other thing I'd be careful of is the nostrils. I think they're a little bit too pronounced. I know it's a small detail you have in there, but you can totally go for a more 3D appeal, 3D look for a nostril. That's more than just like a little slit. But I feel like these are poking too much out of their actual muzzle. Where if you look at a horse's nozzle, wow, muzzle. I can talk. I swear. You look at a horse's muzzle. Those nose holes are built into the snout. They don't poke out as much as you think. My suggestion would be study horses, look at horses, see how their facial structure works, and see how you can apply that to pony, where it's just very simplistic little lines that usually mark these details.
Mm-hmm. Let's try and do a little bit of a nose sketch.
Yeah, I just brought the back up a little bit just because it felt like that was a bit more of sort of what you were going for.
I agree. That's a nice touch. Yeah.
I'm not good at doing that. I haven't experimented with the pronounced nostrils before, so I don't know. I'm just experimenting. Oh God, yes.
That's a cute picture. One of our friends in chat have posted a picture of a horse with their noses extra flared. It's cute too. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Any other tips you guys wanna think of, or?
I think I went over everything. Is it you doing the body, Pixie?
Yeah, that was me. In the purple.
Mm-hmm.
With the ear shape, you can just be a little more out there with that. Just sort of, I just drew a little bit over here. I just sort of push the interesting kind of curves, and it like the ear's really hard to get. But what I've been doing the past couple of weeks is sort of just every now and then pulling up a bunch of artists that I like, trying to redraw heads in their style, focusing on mostly on sort of the ears and the muzzle, and sort of trying to understand the shapes that they're using and why they're using them that way and that sort of stuff.
I think the ears and the muzzle are two of the most telling things of an artist's style.
Agreed.
Just keep
You
pushing
can
it.
recognize CPC's ears like immediately. I've been trying to do that with mine as well.
Sorry, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Hello.
I believe
Did
we.
you protect your potatoes?
Yes.
I turned them into double baked potatoes and put the roast in the oven.
Nice.
It had been sous videing for about 12 hours, so it should be something unique.
I had mash today. Does that count?
Sorry, what was that, Fluffy?
I said I had mash today. Does that count?
Yes.
Cool.
So are we done with this horse? This lovely horse?
So.
All right, let's move on to the lovely horse next to the horse.
Horse, of course.
This horse is by... Oh my gosh, it is actually just posted as horse. Zulol 2025.
2025.
And it's horse.
Horse.
Heck yeah.
So first thing, Zulol 2025. You've made 2 posts today. Generally, we ask if you can make only up to 1 post every 24 hours. You'll check it in their sidebar. It's there, I hope.
If not, quick change it.
In addition to that, you posted what appears to be someone else's art, unless if you have managed to improve drastically. Like start coloring, get lines down, shape,
Move to
everything there.
digital.
Change your name. Have been drawing for 20 some odd years.
In the space of a couple days.
So don't mean to patronize you. What we're trying to say is likely that's not you, and without you being here, you can't confirm it. So this is our evidence of it not being you. We get what was happening. Just try not to post other people's art because you should only be posting your art looking for critique to improve. If you're posting your art just to post art, the MLP or /MLP art /ML or My Little Pony and /MLP Lounge, all great places to do that rather than just our subreddit. Our subreddit focuses on people looking for critique and people giving critique.
Mm-hmm.
Or come to our Discord, and there's an art channel where you can post art that you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or basically anywhere. Just throw horses around and people will be okay with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
As long as it's not a bulletin board.
Yes.
So,
But, yeah.
let's talk this horse.
So
Go ahead, Ellie. It's all
I
yours.
was just gonna quick say, so next time if you still wish to seek critique from us, try getting a better picture of your drawing. Right now we have a lot cut off. You may only be wanting the headshot shown. Don't be afraid to show us the full thing, even if it's just a little part you want looked at. And you can just tell us through text, like I want help with the headshot or such. But we need the full image at least, because right now even the muzzle's slightly cropped off at the end there. So the more picture you can give us to work with, and the more questions you give us and words you give us to work with you, the better. So that's my first general critique. I know it's a critique about getting critique, but we just said we're all about critique here.
I know that Fluffy's going in.
I don't know, I'm doing some experimentations. We're clearly going for like sort of a more rounded, cutesy rounded style that we get sometimes, but
So I'm going to quickly talk about your lines. What you've done with these, that is hilariously common. Basically, every artist will have been at that point at some point. My suggestion is start working on your hand movements and your hand-eye coordination as far as building up lines. Working in a large area will help you remove this crutch because as you can see, I'm zoomed out right now. If I was to zoom in and want to do, say, the curve of your eyeball, nearly impossible on traditional, but if you work on a larger piece of paper or don't crush it, it actually becomes pretty easy to work larger. You want to try and do your curves and lines in as little strokes as possible. So I would take the bottom of your eye and one curve. If I don't like it, grab the eraser, do it again. A lot easier in digital than traditional, but traditional you can use a very light pencil and work your way up to darker. By using a light pencil, it erases easy, hides easy. You can work your way around that.
Mm-hmm. And don't get too caught up in doing it in one perfect stroke, because that's also bad. Doing everything in one perfect stroke is not such a good idea, especially for sketching. So say I'm over here, right? This is me. Hi, I'm over in the corner making this mess of a circle. If I were to make a circle in traditional, something I like to do is sort of I use what Living Dead was talking about, using these nice long strokes, but I refine them and I keep them loose and swooshy. So there's my first curve, right? I'm trying to, I'm also ghosting. Ghosting is when your hand kind of goes and does the shape without actually drawing it. So I'm like ghosting a circle right above it, and I'll be like, okay, yeah, get that stroke in, maybe another, correct it a bit. Oh, this is a little wonky. Okay, the bottom needs to come in, so I'll correct it a bit more. And the top, maybe I'll fix that up a bit. Oh, I went in too far, but that's okay. You can be messy. And there, that's a circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is a guideline. This is a sketch. And obviously if you're using lighter pencils, that'll be easily swept away with the eraser. And that's the kind of sketching we're trying to help you see to move towards. To be light, to be flowy, to just kind of like flick and go with your arm movements, and not to just like do little moves. Like there are times you'll do little stuff, but
yeah. We encourage being messy, and being messy doesn't mean having lines that look like this. Being messy is allowing yourself the freedom to sort of build the sketch, sort of like Ali was doing, and being sort of very freeform about it, and then just going in, and that's a very harsh eraser, but you get the point. And then like refining everything. And what you can do in real life, what I used to do mostly, before Ali turned me onto the magic of kneaded erasers, is just you can get an eraser and just very gently like press it over, or sort of like dapple it onto the page to sort of like partially and slowly gently erase things. You can also use a kneaded eraser because those are really good at just like fading over the drawing and not like erasing it, but like lightening everything. Because this is actually how I draw digitally, is to pretty much do exactly what Ali is doing right now, and then just like get a big soft eraser and just just run it over everything, just run over the drawing completely, and then go over it again and just refine. And just sometimes it means moving bits up and down wherever. Sometimes it means just cleaning the lines until I'm happy with the sketch. So you can do that in traditional as well if you get a kneaded eraser. It's very helpful.
I personally don't like kneaded erasers. Only because they tend to ball up and fall apart. I much prefer
Mine hasn't done that yet.
the very thin stick erasers. They look like a mechanical pencil, and they have
Ooh,
a
those are good too.
Oh, I have one of those too, and I do really like it. Though also, I was having some problems the other day. I was trying to do some sketching, and the one I had was just like smudging a bunch, and I was like, no, no, don't do that. Smudging, awful.
yeah.
But that's probably just more the brand that I have. I just found one off of Amazon.
Yeah, don't be too scared to make your ears a little bit bigger as well. I just like made them a bit bigger because the big horse head and the small ears doesn't quite look like a right sort of scale.
It looks more
Something like that's a little better.
like actual horse than MLP horse. And if you're going for actual horse, then cool.
Yeah, because this horse got a little bit ears.
One of the things we advise, if you're asking for critique, make sure to point out these things that make sure to point out these things that you're trying to do with your art and some questions you have. So, hey, I'm looking to draw more horse-like horses. Can you please help me with my mains, or please help me with my lines, or hey, I want to move on to backgrounds. How do I move on to backgrounds? We love those types of questions because the pointed answers are a lot easier for us.
Mm-hmm.
All right, shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah, for now I'll say shout out to our side panel on our subreddit. There's a lot of great tutorials there, and I highly suggest you go check out the beginner's guides.
All right.
Also,
Next.
people who are watching us, if you want us to critique a horse picture that you have drawn, post it.
Yeah.
We even take non-horse. Just FYI, we try our best.
Yeah.
Overlord, we know you posted to our subreddit. You had a bunch of critique there. That's why your picture's not in this lineup. If you have specific questions, we're happy to answer those.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
he's
if
gonna
those-
he's gonna post a couple of pictures and ask us about consistency between them and stuff like that.
Sure, sounds like a plan. But until then, our next picture up is by Embroidered Equations, trying to make this look more 3D modeled than any of my other line lists so far. But I'm not sure where I'm going wrong. Wrong with the shading for the, oh my gosh, words are hard. Where I'm going wrong with the shading for that to work properly. I physically cannot let myself do anything simple. You should let yourself do anything simple. Wait, no.
Because I literally want to tell you do something simple. If you're trying to learn how to like
Yeah.
properly 3D shade, do it on cubes, do it on cylinders, do it on balls. Do those. You will learn because there's enough going on, with learning how to 3D shade that you don't need to do a complex object yet. And I get you want to challenge yourself. I get that, but if you really are serious about wanting to learn, take a step back and focus on the one thing you want to learn, which is how to shade and make things feel 3D and natural. Because right now, I think the biggest thing, and this is cute, and I love that you experiment, and I love the colors, but I think the biggest thing right now for me that doesn't make this feel realistically 3D or in like a 3D model sort of way is your colors are absolutely all kind of way too vibrant and rich and like they're too dark in some areas. They're not really highlighting any form. They're just kind of in this area where there would be shade. It's all very, I don't want to say generic, but it's vaguely placed instead of having, the thought of where the form would fold, and how to
Yeah.
conceal these details, and how to, where exactly would it stop, where would it bend, where would it soften.
Hey, Allie.
Yes.
Are there any online sources that I can go to try and get a better idea of how to shade?
Oh God, there's so many. Well, I mean, at firstly, I always want to throw people to Drawlabox. They hate me. They hate it. But Drawlabox, start from stage 1 and work your way up. It may not seem like it's what you're looking for, but it absolutely is, because the first thing about
Hey,
learning how to
you
realistically shade is learning realistic form. And it doesn't have to be realistic anatomy, but still have to learn the form of your style.
Hey, you come to the My Little Pony Drawing School, and we give you like exercises, learning exercises to do in the form of like an actual tutorial. Like, don't be surprised. It's pretty much actually schoolwork, but like more fun.
All the fun. And I do want to, I feel like I'm being really harsh, but I know you've been here a while and you've been submitting to us recently, and I just want to see you push yourself, because after all we've seen from you, I know you can push yourself further, and I feel like you're kind of stuck in the rut of doing it the same way all over again, and sometimes the best way to break that is to start from square one.
For an example, on the Ali said focus on sort of the simpler shapes when you're shading, when you're like looking to practice shading. As an example, I've drawn a couple of, like, here's a cylinder, here's a sphere, here's a bit of a boxy thing, here's a bit of a cone. These are kind of the basic sort of shapes you want to focus on when you're practicing shading, because that's a lot of what your entire picture is made out of, and what a lot of most of the things that you're going to draw are made out of. And having like a really good understanding of like exactly how to shade this, where to put the lighter spots, having the things like the highlights and the transitionary tones, and being able to completely understand in your head how to shade these things, and how it changes when, for example, the light goes from over here to over here, and sort of, shading goes over this side instead, and all that sort of stuff. Being able to sort of understand that and get a good idea of that in your head really helps when you're trying to just shade more complex things in general.
Ooh, I just thought of, okay, so they were saying, I want to see the exact quote. So you physically can't let yourself do anything that simple. Here's the challenge for you. Download Blender. Learn how to make those 3D shapes. Learn how to use light boxes in Blender. Learn how to position lights, and learn how to study from the own 3D objects you make. So if you really want to...
You scare me!
Well, they can't do anything simple. I'm giving them a challenge if they, because it is hard to do Drawbox, but I still really highly recommend start from level 1, do the forms, get those fundamentals to get you help the 3D. I can't word. I should not. I'll let my others talk. You should. But yeah, no, it's just like, this is such a huge part in art. It's just, you say you want to learn how to, make the shading more 3D. That's a huge undertaking. It's not one simple answer. It's one of those things you will study, you will learn, you will train yourself, and just references of everything, living, of cartoon, of just so many references, so many.
Alright, shall we move on to the next one? I'm gonna take your silence as a yes.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Fluffy. Your horse looks high. Just saying.
Yep, no, it does. That's a lot of my horses.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think you should draw the stony pony then. Problem solved. So our last picture lined up today is by the idiot on YouTube, which interestingly was not posted on our YouTube channel. Instead, was posted on our Reddit. You know, whatever. So I was sketching out some MLP characters and decided to finish this Celestia with some color. Not sure if I got the anatomy right or not. Also, I have a little alicorn beard. Lol.
I like it.
Very consistent with your current style. It seems to be working for you. You do get some weirdness going on with your legs, like this joint here is substantially longer than this one here, same as this front one is longer than this back one. I'm not sure if that's part of your style, just to be like broken, weird anatomy, but if that's what you're going for, because it seems to be consistent with what's happening on your last ones, sure, it works.
The thing that points out to me is the wings. I feel like could use some improvement. Even if it's, you know, a stylish thing, they still feel a little. They feel short, and the feathers feel haphazardly put in. It feels more like a blanket of feathers than a wing with joints. Like this just feels like one piece instead of a wing that has, you know, you got your bend, bone, and stretch, and so you have like groupings of wings here because these all are gonna bend, and then you have your outstretched wings that are all gonna bend as well. So just kind of focusing on looking at bird wings, I think would be helpful. Learning just how feathers actually go on wings. That would be a challenge I'd throw to you.
That makes sense to me. I really like the tail you've done. I've seen a few other artists do that. They're kind of fun for like unicorns and that. They just sort of give that more mystical sense. The same thing you get from the last unicorn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the traditional unicorn style. So.
I think I would take an air pump and inflate Celestia's head a bit on this one, just because the proportions, like her hoof is the size of her head, and it's sort of bothering me every time I look towards it. I think I just double the head size, just to sort of give that nod back to MLP, and try not to overpower the hooves to head ratio. But overall, I think just keep drawing. It looks like you have plenty of drawings on that piece of paper. Maybe it's time to invest in a sketchbook. Get some nice, 60 or 70 pound paper. Just get sketching on that type of stuff. It'll help hold your ink a bit happier. It'll help hold your lines. It's pretty easy to erase on 70 pound paper, and it just looks good when you finish a picture on it. Plus, it's not that expensive. Don't buy the premium stuff. Get the boring brand or like off-brand stuff. Even Amazon sells them in like leather-bound sketchbooks for so cheap. Do it. It's worth it. Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
All right, Overlord Pony has a question or some questions. I have some questions about some drawings related to the ones I posted. I'm making a bunch of headshots in this style, and I want to make sure the style feels consistent. Also, I'm struggling a bit with the shading stencil, since most of the shading is done with black lines, and I don't know if it's soft shading or on the characters feels right alongside that. Let me just open up these horse. Do you want me to paste the horses onto our drawing?
I can look it up if it's boop, boop, boop.
Yeah, I was the one that saw your picture in the Reddit and did the extended lines and that sort of stuff. It's a very, very cool style.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's critique their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Monk.
Sounds good.
We got horse 1. We got horse 2. One looks like a robot apple bloom. The other one looks like Rainbow Dash, maybe.
Ooh. I love the lining and coloring style of these.
It's very wild.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Cyberpunk.
what I was expecting.
The second part is the one I struggled the most with trying to shade, since the light is coming from the front and the back. There's also colored light to deal with, and wings and fabric. The main thing is trying to make sure this feels consistent with the style and the in-universe. I think my main thing is with face shape. I want to make sure they feel consistent and like they're in the same universe. The art I posted to Reddit is definitely has a... Sorry, it's too long, lol.
I will say with your with the first drawing that you posted in the Reddit, these sort of little tiny offshoots look a little bit inconsistent with the style. So just like sort of covering those up and making it a little bit cleaner in there makes this feel like it's a little more consistent with the first drawing you posted in the Reddit.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that one.
Hmm.
Your
Just because it's going for sort of an ye old comic book style, and so yeah, just for some more reference for people.
Yeah, I'd say I definitely see some hatching going on in the second one. I would think if you want to keep it consistent, kind of think of how you want to hatch, because in this one there is no cross hatching. This one here has no cross hatching, but this one does. Like I see some cross hatching up there. So if you want to keep your hatching consistent, if you want to go with, because it seems like your line isn't your lines aren't so much cross hatching, but they have hatching. I look over here. There's a lot of just straight line hatching here. Even in the shadows and the lights, and this wing back here just kind of has straight line hatching. I would say stick to either incorporating cross hatching, which are the little drawing X's going like that, or sticking to just the lines. I think just the lines works better for you, especially because you have lines as a theme. You have it in your hair, you have it all over the body. Even these swirly lines here, they're still lines, they're still swirls. They're not exactly overlapping each other. They're working with each other and being smushed against each other in a very perpendicular way. So yeah, it's just something to think about there. How and what kind of hatching you're doing, and what kind of, it seems like you have very like line weighted hatching instead of everything all being the same line weight. There's like gets big and small and in and out. So that would be something to think about for consistency. Anyone have anything else to say?
I don't really have any points. Sorry.
I think in general it's pretty good. The main thing that I would also take a bit of a look at is just on gradients on characters. In this one here, and the one that you posted on the Reddit, there isn't much in terms of any real gradients on the character, but on this one there's like all sorts of soft gradients and all that sort of stuff, and so that's making
That's a good point.
making it feel a little bit
Yeah.
not quite as consistent. as they could be. yeah, mostly take a look at that. Keep an eye on sort of how thin your lines get and where they're getting thin and that sort of stuff. And I think in general, otherwise, yeah, looks really good. Really cool style, really fun,
Keep it up.
and keep it up. Yeah. If you want to join our Discord and post us some more of your in progress stuff or anything like that, feel free to.
Yeah.
Totes my goats.
Yeah. Give you a bit more immediate feedback and stuff. Cool. Awesome. I think we're all good then.
All right. Well, that looks like it for the art submitted to us. So if anyone has any more questions, any more art they'd like to fire at us, or any other money they'd like to pay us, please submit now. Otherwise, we'll see you again next
We
week.
do accept cookies.
Oh my gosh. I bought these cookies from Pillsbury because I was feeling really lazy. They're cinnamon bun cookies. They're so good.
Say what?
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Well, come on over. I'll give you some. Oh, no, we just closed our borders today. Only Allie can come because she's a U.S. citizen.
Nice. I have privilege. Oh wait.
I give that like 3 days till that privilege is removed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it was just yesterday, work was like, yeah, we won't be closing. Don't worry about it. The research departments will remain open. This morning, apparently, an email went out that I somehow didn't get saying, all of them are closed. And no one comes to work. It's fine.
Yeah. Inky just got the word that he's only allowed to come in 3 days a week now.
That doesn't help.
You get
It doesn't, but everyone else is allowed to stay home. But he's a scientist and needs his equipment, so.
well, you just get a little bit more time with the Griffith.
Only a little. He still has to work.
All right, well, that looks like it for us. So we'll see you again next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Stay safe.